In the quiet, remote expanse of Ilkley Moor in West Yorkshire, England, on a chilling December morning in 1987, the skies bore witness to a spectacle that would etch itself into the annals of UFO lore. An incident so strange and compelling, it's often considered one of the most shocking alien encounters in the United Kingdom. This is the Ilkley Moor UFO incident. Since ancient times, Ilkley Moor has drawn people to its greenery, rocky outcrops, and scenic vistas that give its Yorkshire landscapes a mysterious and spiritual air. When mists surround the carved Bronze Age rock carvings and wind through the stone Druid circle that dates back thousands of years, the moor can feel downright eerie, as it did on the first day of December 1987, when a retired policeman named Philip Spencer left his wife and children resting at home and ventured out for a walk just after dawn. When Philip Spencer left his home one foggy winter morning, he was planning to visit his father-in-law in East Morton on the far side of the moor. He had taken along his camera in hopes of capturing some images of the landscape in the early light, and he brought a compass to guide him. The air was cold as he walked the trail and passed by Whitewell's cottage. As he approached the top of the hill, he glimpsed another traveler up ahead. The form seemed rather odd-looking, and Spencer wondered, was it a child, an old hunchback? He looked again at the shortish figure that seemed to be about 4 feet tall and tinted in dark green. It looked misshapen, with a large, bulbous head and skinny, too long arms. The figure had noticed Spencer and had raised its right hand, perhaps in a warning to stay back. Instead, Spencer raised his camera to snap a picture, and when he did, the figure turned and ran off. Spencer followed in pursuit, but the form disappeared into the mist before he could catch up. Moments later, Spencer was alarmed by a noisy humming sound and the sight of a bright saucer-shaped craft rising up from the earth and vanishing into the sky. Shocked into stillness, he left his camera hanging at his waist. Shaken by what he had just seen, Spencer headed into town. When he arrived in East Morton, he glanced up at the church clock and was stunned to discover that hours had passed and he couldn't account for the missing time. Eventually, Spencer reached his father-in-law's house and noted that his watch lagged behind all the clocks inside the residence. Later, as he returned home, he saw that his compass was pointing in the wrong direction. Spencer began to doubt his sanity and wondered what part of his adventure went unremembered. It was only several days later, after he developed his film, that Spencer began to trust his senses once more. As he was going through his snapshots, he discovered an image of the creature he had seen. It appeared to be standing upright at a bend in the trail. Although the likeness was difficult to make out, he could trace the outline of its big head and long arms. Spencer later recalled that the alien had pointy ears, large black eyes, and cloven feet. Rattled, Spencer decided to contact Peter Huff and Jenny Randalls, who researched UFOs in the area, and share what he had found. When Huff first heard Spencer's tale, he was wary, but he soon came around when he saw the photo. Huff set out to investigate the site and send the image along to experts for examination. Several UFO specialists reviewed the photo and found no sign that the image had been faked. Specialists from the Kodak Photo Lab in Hemel Hempstead confirmed that there was no evidence of tampering. And a wildlife photographer who examined the image stated that the figure depicted there did not look like any animals known to live in the area. Although Spencer had been fairly discreet about his encounter, word was starting to spread through the towns near Ilkley Moor. Nick Redfern, an area ufologist, had heard that Spencer had been called out by the Ministry of Defense a few days after his encounter, and that 2 men in black had visited his home and coerced him into keeping quiet. As time passed, Spencer's alien encounter continued to affect his life. He was having vivid dreams of starry skies and was plagued by thoughts of what could have happened to him during that morning's missing hours. The UFO investigators he had contacted suggested that he should undergo hypnosis to recover his lost memory, and Huff set him up with a hypnotist named Jim Singleton the following spring of 1988. On the 16th of March, Philip Spencer experienced a hypnotic regression, and as he spoke his memories aloud, his account of his alien encounter changed. Singleton believes that the session brought about a genuine recollection of Spencer's alien abduction. As Spencer entered this hypnotic state, he recalled that the creature had approached him on the trail before he took a photo. In a story published on Medium titled Mystery of Ilkley Moor, Alien Picture Taken in 1987, dated March 15, 2023, Spencer was quoted as saying, "I'm walking along the moor. Oh, it's quite windy. There are a lot of clouds. Walking up towards the trees, I see this little something. I can't tell, but it's green. He's moving towards me. Oh, I can't move. I'm stuck. He's still coming towards me, and I still can't move. I'm stuck, and everything's gone fuzzy. I'm floating in the air. I want to get down, and these green things are walking ahead of me, and I don't like it." Spencer went on to say, "I still can't move. I'm going around the corner, and this green thing is in front of me. Oh God, I want to get down. There's a big silver saucer thing, and there's a door in it, and I don't want to go in there. Everything's gone black now." As he was lifted into the craft, Spencer recalled hearing a voice telling him to stay calm. Next, several aliens took him deep inside the ship and conducted medical experiments, examining the insides of his mouth and nose. Afterwards, they gave him a tour of the craft and showed him 2 films. The first contained apocalyptic warnings, with images of nuclear explosions and natural disasters that would follow if humanity did not stop overpopulating and polluting the Earth. Spencer has never discussed what he saw in the second film, saying that the aliens told him to keep the knowledge secret. When the aliens brought Spencer back to Ilkley Moor, he immediately forgot what he had just experienced. He looked up, saw the figure ahead of him, and took the photograph without realizing that he had just experienced an extraterrestrial adventure. Once Spencer put the situation in perspective and discovered what he experienced that morning, he changed his mind about the day's events. After hypnosis, Spencer believed that the being was actually bidding him farewell, not telling him to stay away, and that aliens had no known malicious intent. To this day, the event on Ilkley Moor is still one of the United Kingdom's most famous UFO sightings. Philip Spencer's alleged alien encounter is known for being one of Great Britain's more credible stories of contact with extraterrestrials because he is one of the few people who have ever provided evidence of their experience. Through it all, this former policeman has insisted on staying anonymous. Philip Spencer is in fact a pseudonym. He never profited from his story. Tales of the UFO became news in the UK and would pop up in the papers from time to time. Nick Pope, a journalist who had once worked at the UFO desk of the Ministry of Defense, included Spencer's encounter in a list of top 10 UFO incidents in the UK, published in 2011. Many UFO enthusiasts believe that the story is one of the most persuasive accounts of UFO activity. But other, more skeptical people insist that the story is a fantasy, noting that the photograph is too blurry to provide any actual proof of alien visitation. They contend that the alien depicted in the image could have been human or some kind of mannequin, like a scarecrow, and pointed out that experts like Bruce Maccabee, a U.S. Navy optics expert, had claimed that the photograph was too grainy for proper testing. These unbelievers wonder why Spencer did not photograph the craft or its interior, because these kinds of photographs would have been much more convincing. They also noted that Spencer's malfunctioning compass could have been deliberately broken. Whatever the specific circumstances surrounding Philip Spencer's famous photo may be, the fact remains that it was taken in an area that has had many reported sightings of unusual phenomena over the years near the Druid Stone Circle. In a Nostalgic Digest article dated November 7, 2019, Britain's Wharfdale Observer recounted a story told by UFO expert Nigel Mortimer, whose memories of a separate, unexplained event near White Wells prompted him to re-examine Spencer's evidence. Years earlier, Mortimer met 2 men from Horsforth who had their own encounter with extraterrestrial activity. On the evening of October 29, 1991, around 5 p.m., they happened to be walking around White Wells, about 100 yards from where Spencer was said to have met an alien several years before. Mortimer said that when they reached West Rock, they saw a huge ball of light suspended above the land, and that the light had chased them back to Ilkley. They managed to run back to town in 10 minutes, when the journey should have taken them a minimum of a half an hour on foot. Mortimer suspects the two men experienced something similar to a time warp. An article titled "Alien Evidence Reinvestigated," published on August 29, 1998 by the Telegraph and Argus, provided further details. The paper interviewed Mortimer and discovered that since the events had happened in the same place, Mortimer had taken up a renewed interest in Spencer's photo. Mortimer was quoted by the Telegraph and Argus as saying that, quote, "I've been trying to do this analysis for years. We're also trying to get other people involved, and we will look at the evidence properly. It isn't just this photo. There have been reports of other phenomena in that area for years," end quote. Mortimer had hoped to use computer enhancements to get a better view of the alien. He was noted as saying that, quote, "The photograph has been digitized a few times. It was done a few years ago in America, and I haven't got copies of the information," end quote. He believed that the computer could reveal a more detailed view of the creature's ears and eyes. Mortimer continued, "I've been trying to do this for years. We're also trying to get other people involved, and we'll look at the evidence properly. We're trying to prove that there are genuine phenomena out there that need investigating. We will reevaluate as much information on it as possible, and perhaps someone else will take it forward." He reiterated, "It really needs looking into again properly. I know at that particular site there have been sightings of other phenomena. I think there are things taking place on the moors." Even today, Philip Spencer's story has not lost its hold on UFO enthusiasts across the UK and around the world. In fact, recent sightings and news stories of unexplained objects in the sky have renewed curiosity about the event. Many amateur UFO researchers who post on social media believe that otherworldly encounters have been and are currently happening all around us. In "Prepare for Wave of Extraterrestrial Sightings in UK, Say UFO Experts," an undated article published in 2023, The Guardian noted that several researchers have been poring over declassified Ministry of Defense documents, now in the National Archives, in an attempt to uncover what the British government knows about extraterrestrial visitations. After studying these missives, some experts have concluded that the unexplained sightings, once kept a secret, would never fully be understood. Yet many UFO enthusiasts believe that there is a conspiracy to keep the true details of the happenings secret. Now in 2024, UFOs are making headlines again, as a new guard of UFO hunters is looking out for alien ships. In the article, Strange Encounters with the New Wave of UFO Hunters, published on November 30, 2023, GQ reported that some alien enthusiasts believe that people began taking UFOs more seriously when the New York Times published a front-page story about the existence of a classified government UFO program in 2017. Last year's spectacular news of non-human biologics, disclosed at a congressional hearing in Washington, D.C. by David Grush, a former United States intelligence officer, sparked a frenzy of mainstream attention. The Pentagon even established an Unidentified Aerial Phenomena Task Force in August of 2020 and is currently investigating over 800 alleged sightings. In 2023, British sky searchers sent over 1,800 letters to British members of Parliament, sharing their concerns about the UK government's outwardly lackluster response to UAPs, also known as UFOs. Official responses from most politicians, including the Prime Minister, have been mixed. In fact, the UFO investigations desk at the Ministry of Defense closed in 2009 after finding no evidence of any threats from UFOs in the country over a 50-year period. People who speak up about UFOs are typically mocked, but the news from America has energized Britain's UFO enthusiasts who are searching for the truth. New organizations like UFO Identified have been publishing annual reports of purported encounters. In 2022, they disclosed 497 sightings, many of which were bolstered by photographic and video evidence. Today, the group investigates sightings around Britain and holds meetings for UFO enthusiasts in the country's northwest region. The British UFO Research Association, or BUFORA, which has been active for 59 years, teaches UFO spotters to discern the difference between events of high strangeness and more mundane sightings of birds and satellites. As interest in aliens grows, old stories like Philip Spencer's encounter on Ilkley Moor continue to resurface. Some recall a night in November 1980 when a man named Alan Godfrey saw a diamond-shaped object turning in the sky above him, near the Yorkshire town of Todmorden, under a bright light. Godfrey claims that he lost 30 minutes of time and regained consciousness to discover that he had a burned foot. Others have memories of broken time after visiting unusual places when they were children. There is a broad variety of thoughts, feelings, fears, and hopes about the presence of aliens and UFOs in our lives, and many folks believe that we are closer than ever to finding proof of intelligent life amongst the stars. Perhaps it's time to take the Ilkley Moor alien encounter very seriously.